This is the brand new Oculus Quest 2, and when Oculus reached out and wanted to sponsor a video on it, I couldn't say no. There are 3 brand new features with the Quest 2. First of all, it is more powerful, it also has better screens, and importantly, it is now cheaper. 3 things I love to see with a new piece of tech. So why don't we take a look and see what we've got here. Ooh, you know what? I like this packaging. I feel like there's a very Ken aesthetic on this. So this is the 64 gig model, although you can also opt to go up to a 256 gig. I don't need a knife. What am I doing? There's a pull tab right here. The first Quest really was a huge step forward for VR. Now, there had been completely untethered experiences in the past, but that was really the first headset, in my opinion, to really kind of take it up to the next level. And the Quest 2 improves on that even farther. Okay, so, ooh. It's a really nice texture. I'm really excited to try this. I mean, I've been making videos on VR ever since the early prototypes of the Oculus Rift back in, was it 2013, 2014? And to imagine that we've come that far to something which is completely portable like this is really exciting. Couple things to point out, we do have a USB-C port here, as well as we have a headphone jack. And on the other side, we just have a couple of buttons. So we have our volume rocker over here, and I assume that is the power button. We also have the upgraded Oculus Touch controllers. So if you've used the original Quest, these are going to be familiar, which makes sense because this is still backwards compatible with original Quest games. What you get here is a design language which is slightly more influenced by the Rift. You have an upgraded battery door, so it should be a little bit more secure. And of course, you still have all of your buttons on the inside, as well as you have your triggers and your inner triggers, which is especially important for a VR game. You want to be able to reach down, pick things up, shoot, etc. So now, why don't we actually spend some time using the Quest 2? Because there are a number of major advances. First of all, we gotta go for the good old classic Beat Saber, aka the game that I always suck at. There we go. I love getting into a good rhythm here. I'll say the comfortability is nice. So I'm using this completely standard. So there are optional head straps, so if you would like, you can upgrade to that. I'm using it in the stock configuration, it seems fine. I've got to give a shout out to the audio. So of course you can hook up a standard headset if you'd like, but what I find is that it actually is really impressive at how good the audio is with literally just the headset itself. And especially if you're listening to my mic right now, you should actually really hear it. Like if you're around, you can barely hear it, but it almost sounds like you're using like an open pair of headphones, huh? Dude, the head tracking is so good on this. I think that's one of the things that's really impressive about the Quest 2 specifically, but even the original Quest had this. Just how good the tracking is. It does such a great job of placing you in the world. And considering that you don't have a bunch of sensors or anything around, it's all being done inside the headset with the inside out tracking. It is really impressive. Oh, that's fun. Okay, this is bad. I don't like this. Ah, no. Oh, that's a fast one. That's a fast one. Get over here. Rubber ducky. I want that. So this is my first time trying Dirt Rally 2.0 running on the PC via Oculus Link. Oh, what? Whoa, okay, I'm in the game. Yep. All right, that's a thing. One of the interesting things about Oculus Link is that it actually isn't just like you're just plugging the headset in and it's dumb. I mean, it's still handling all of the tracking, but the PC is handling running the actual game now, and it's all being transmitted via USB-C. It's impressive at how, as I move my head around the cockpit, how natural it feels, right? I know a lot of times when you get, when you get experiences that aren't completely optimized, it can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm impressed with just how smooth this really is. So with the help of my good buddy Eugene here, let me give you a little bit of a closer look at the Oculus Quest 2 headset. Now, one of the first things is really something that you can't see, but rather you feel. The headset is about 10% lighter than the original Quest, and that makes a big difference. I mean, you have to consider that this is essentially a full VR experience with all of your sensors, all of your cameras, your processor, your battery, screens, everything in this head-mounted unit, which means that weight is a very big deal. The heavier it is, the more uncomfortable it's going to be. So the thing is, with the Quest 2, what you're getting is a pair of higher resolution displays. So each eye gets a very high, nearly 2K resolution, and on top of that, it runs at a higher frame rate. So whereas the original Quest topped out at about 72 FPS, this goes all the way up to 90. Now, to be fair, content does need to be optimized to take full advantage of the resolution and of the frame rate, but just like when you get a new console generation, for example, developers will continue to update their games and get them up and running as best as possible on the Quest 2, but the nice thing is it is still compatible with all of the original Quest, so everything will work and some games will look even better and run even better. Now, in large part, that is because the Quest 2 is also a much more powerful headset. So as opposed to the Snapdragon 835 in the original Quest, this is using the specific for VR Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 chipset. What that means is that not only do you get a ton more performance, you get more RAM, you also get things like Wi-Fi 6 built in, and that will enable much more graphically intensive games. I mean, that is a multiple generation step in performance. And all of that being said, the Quest 2 is cheaper. This is the 64GB model, and it comes in at $299 with your upgraded touch controllers. There's not
very unsettling.
I can't quite. He doesn't really want to hold it. He's not very. Look, at least he has his wrist straps on. Always be safe, kids. Always be safe. We don't want to Wii this thing. So one of the things that I really want to try, that I know you were using earlier, is virtual desktop?
Virtual desktop.
All right. So right now, I am looking at the monitor on the PC that I think is over there somewhere. Now, what this is cool for is if I say, I don't know, oh yeah, I'm gonna open up the NVIDIA control panel. Wow, you haven't set up your NVIDIA control panel, Ken?
No.
All right, we're gonna go into, let's go into the dark cinema. No, I'm gonna go into the computer room. So ever since the early days of VR, you've been able to watch video, and it makes sense, right? VR is a very natural home theater experience. But with something like this, it really is kind of next level, right? So I'm sitting in this room, I've got the Zuck staring down at me very kindly, but essentially I can just sit here and look at what looks to be essentially a real desk, right? I have a keyboard, I have a computer, I have the monitor, and I think where this really kind of helps to push the experience forward is in the resolution. Of course, you have to consider that these screens, these pixels, are very close to your eye, right? So when it comes to VR, the ability for you to have a very high-res experience is important for the to avoid the screen door effect, essentially just to look more realistic. I mean, yeah, of course, can I see some pixels? Yes. But I mean, it's pretty impressive, right? Like, I could easily sit here and watch this video and it looks almost as sharp as if I was looking at a real monitor right in front of me. It might not be time to throw your original Quest in the garbage, but if you are interested in mobile VR, I do think that the Oculus Quest 2 is hands down the best option. In fact, I'll go farther than that. I think the Quest 2 is the best way to play VR, period, at the moment. Now, of course, huge thank you to Oculus for sponsoring this video, but I mean what I say. If you are at all interested in VR, the Quest 2 is absolutely where it's at. Eugene agrees.
Does he?
Yeah, look at that smug look of satisfaction on his face. He can't believe how great the graphics are.